politics is what we address. But that being said, we still want to address a situation where, of course, we understand that emotions may run high, sentiments may run deeply, but then as much as we can, let's keep it civil and responsible, and as much as we can, let's try to drive, matters of concern, solution finding, rather than just sticking to the past. My name is Uduak Daniel.
And I am Omoefe Peace Osemere. Now, right. It's safe to say that we're going to be having the biggest conversations on radio, the whole of this week, knowing, of course, that tomorrow Nigeria will be clocking 64 years since, it actually gained, independence. Right. It leaves us with so much, to talk about, also with a lot to take in. And today we're actually going to be looking at the security sector. What has changed? What are the successes or success stories that we've had? And what are the challenges? And of course, the big question will be, what is the way forward?
What is the way forward? Of course, this is what we are looking at. And yes, we'll be joined by our guest who's going to engage us in a discourse in a very short bit, right? But then Nigeria is still the giant of Africa. We gained independence on October 1 of 1960. After nearly a century of British colonial rule. Did you know that? Well, now you know. With a population of over 200 million people from diverse ethnic groups, languages, even religion, Nigeria's security situation has been quite complex, and very, very challenging. The country has, indeed faced various threats and incidents, which has affected our stability, brought about, issues or exacerbated corruption, economic crisis, policy changes, and even calls for constitutional, amendments. There's been one question that's been out there. Were we ripe for, the independence? As a question that has sparked, debate amongst historians and scholars. Some even argue that Nigeria was not prepared for independence due to lack of institutional capacity, limited, economic developments, ethnic and, even regional tensions. However, others have also contended and said that, we have made significant progress under the British rule with, an established infrastructure, trained civil service, emerging middle class. But despite these arguments, though, Nigeria's post-independence trajectory has been marred by, military coups. Even the civil war is one of it. Corruption, very, very important. Economic mismanagement, and that has led us where we are. Nigeria's rich natural resources, including oil, gas, minerals, have not indeed translated into sustainable development and even security.
Right. From corruption, like you said, to economic crisis, policy somersaults, restructuring, and even incessant calls for constitutional amendment, to mention a few, have been, on the front burner, for a number of Nigerians since, we gained independence. Now,
Right.
While these issues are not typical of Nigeria alone, the security situation since 1960 has been complex and challenging, with various threats and, of course, incidents, affecting the country's stability, just like Uduak stated earlier.
Right.
As Nigeria marks her 64th independence anniversary on Tuesday, which is tomorrow, the president, of course, has, declared a low-key celebration, a decision which is not unconnected, to the mood of the nation. The present day Nigeria is bedeviled with, with burning issues, which some analysts, have over time described as hydra-headed. So today on Eagles Outlook, we shall address one of them, which is insecurity. Yes, Nigeria's security has been very complex, with various threats and incidents. Of course, a kind of conversation we're going to be having this morning on Nigeria's security since independence, successes, challenges, and also the way forward. Joining us via telephone this morning is a security consultant, strategist, and researcher. He joins us live via telephone from the seat of Caliphate, the seat of, the Caliphate, that's Sokoto State, Nigeria,
Right.
This morning. He is Nura Bodinga. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Good morning.
How is Sokoto State this morning, sir?
Sokoto is good.
Right. Thank you so much for obliging us. We really do not take this for granted. come tomorrow, I mean, we will be celebrating, Nigeria at 64. 64 years of independence. My co-host right here, earlier pointed out some of the concerns that some Nigerians, have, had to raise over time with regards to, October 1 of every year. It has to do with whether or not Nigeria was really ripe, for even, gaining independence in the first place. But let's get your, overview to this, conversation this morning, Nura. Are you there?
Yes.
Right.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. If you could hear us, I'm not alone in the studios, by the way.
That's right.
I have my colleague right here.
Right. So, Nura, it feels good to have a conversation with you this morning. Just to jump into, the discourse this morning as the topical issue borders around looking into security in Nigeria 64 years after independence. What's your overview?
In the name of God, the beneficial, the merciful. 64th year of independence of this country. Journey so far. There are so many things that happens along the line, and that by God's grace, Nigeria is still surviving as one indivisible country, and that security-wise, Nigeria has passed through so many episodes, fortunate and unfortunate episodes of security issues. Immediately after independence, 6 years after independence, or 5 to 6 years after independence, Nigeria experienced a grievous security challenge that has to do with a threat, a very serious threat to the greatest value of Nigeria, which is security itself, protection of national value. That is democracy. The First Republic regime experienced a coup, bloody coup for that matter.
Right.
Immediately after that coup, nearly 6 months, Nigeria also experienced another coup, military against the military. Since then, Nigeria continued to be having political instability, which is also a cornerstone in security issues as far as security is concerned. In military intervention itself, or frequent taking over or seizure of taking over of government, illegal taking over of government is a serious security challenge to the nationhood. That is not enough. Nigeria still continues to survive. Civil war occurred also in 1967 to 70. Nigeria survived that serious or grievous security threats that threaten the existence of Nigeria as one itself. The artery programs that were initiated and implemented by Gowon regime after the civil war come up with certain gains, which up to today is the one, to my understanding, that Nigeria is surviving upon. Otherwise, Nigeria would have gone for years. There are still challenges, because there is what we call imagining an existential threats. Those very threats that occurred, that have made mention, that has to do with the civil war, separatist allegations, agitations, and what have you. Violence conflict of ethnic in the religious coloration, because they are not purely or sincerely religious violence or religious conflict or ethnic conflict, but they have the coloration that is those that sponsors such menace or such threats. They try to manipulate and give it the religious and ethnic coloration. We have issues in the north, especially the north central, the just crisis, different episodes of such over more than 3 decades. The southern Kaduna, the issues in Maiduguri and Kano of the 80s, that is Mekasinis, which so many of us see as see Boko Haram as a reincarnation or resurrections of such threats that have not been properly managed after the Second Republic. The gains centered around the existence, the continual survival of the country as one entity. That is territorial protection of territorial integration and the sovereignty, symbolic as it may critically be perceived. So many people believe the independence still remains symbolic because Nigeria could not boast of, or any other African countries, especially except Southern Africa today, could not boast of the real or true independence because the economic independence is not there.
Okay.
But then we still celebrate the ceremonial independence that Nigeria still remains as independent, politically independent country.
Right, Nura, thank you so much for that overview. Indeed, when you talk about national integration, I mean, for the lack of better words, one would say that the government, at all levels, are tracing it back to, when we, attained, this democratic transition or dispensation that we are practicing. I mean, for over 20 years now, and one would say that we as a country, by that I mean the leaders and also those that are being led, which translates, to the masses. We've been really very intentional about, national integration. However, these issues that you've been able to highlight, when you talk about security or insecurity, as it were, are tracing it back from the 1960s. They're talking about the coups, the counter coups. You talk about the Niger Delta militancy, of course, ethnic and communal conflicts, and now Boko Haram insurgency, which seems, to be the major threat. One would say, of course, that not much has really changed. And if at all there were gains, in the form of, we still being together as a country, because one would also recall that there were projections before now that Nigeria ought to have, disintegrated,
yeah.
But we're still united, right? That is not also to overrule, some sentiments still, flying right, left, and center. So with all of this, would it be intelligent to say that as a nation that has actually gained independence, 64 years after, we are still beating round circles?
Please, I beg your pardon, the actual question, please.
Yes. Would it be intelligent to say that we're still beating round circles, when you take a look at, the progression of events in the security sector of the country?
Okay, can we say that we are still not there? Is it the question?
Are we beating round circles?
Okay, that's to say, maybe have we achieved something? Is it what you want to say? I can't hear you well.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, so the thing is, if we look at ourselves from where we were before as up until where we are now, are we beating round circles?
Yes, of course, per se, to some extent.
Okay.
Yes, you see, I was caught in. I want to continue, but let me continue now. Now, this national security itself is a composition of various segments of national protection. Within the national security, we have what we call the international security, the external security, and domestic or internal security. Now, the threats that comes from the outside environment, that is external threats, that threatens Nigerians' territorial integrity and sovereignty is what is called the external threat. Now, the internal threats are threats that have to do with the human security, within which you have environmental security, food security, you have political security, and what have you. Now, the domestic security challenges remained so dormant that they refuse to go from 60 to today. In fact, you even have an increment of threats apart from the little achievements that were made around 70s to 80s. There is what I call bold bond and the bonds of Nigerian security, which has been broken for about 3 to 4 decades ago. From the mid-80s, Nigerian security security system has been having challenges, and gradually it was grossly affected. And at its own capacity, the capacity of the security system to contain threats, both existential and emanating threats, that capacity wasn't that good, wasn't that pain. And that is why you continue to have emerging threats such as the Niger Delta, the separatist agitations, even become so uglier, because initially you do have almost a peaceful agitations from the southeast. Today you have a violent some agitations. You have the not a security network or what have you. You have terrorism activities in the region. So you have the Boko Haram. From Boko Haram, when efforts were made to crush and degrade Boko Haram, they spreaded that terror, spreaded towards northwest. And that today, when you have the menace of security menace of banditry, kidnapping, which is also a form of terrorism. I do not just see bandit or banditry or kidnapping as it exists in the northwest as banditry, but terrorism in a banditry form or phase.
But they've not been addressed as as terrorists at the moment. Doesn't that bother you?
Yes, they have already been classified.
Have they been proscribed as terrorists? Oh, okay. Have they been proscribed?
Yes, they have been proscribed in the black regime.
Right.
Yes, they have. Officially, they have, and technically from the experts, even before the government classified them, we knew, and we have been telling the government that, look, you cannot fight an entity without identifying the entity. Know who you are fighting. If you are fighting terrorism, you are fighting terrorism. If you are fighting banditry, you are fighting, and that's why most of the effort there are so many efforts that the government need, like technical measures that were taken, but because such measures were not in line with the security system, there is no effective security system. And security measure, all these operations, that they are measures. Of course, we the experts we can't condemn, we can't say government is not or authority is not taking measure. But in my own personal opinion, I have been hammering that the government should review the approaches, should review the system. Because when you see that you are doing one thing for a very long time and result is not forthcoming as it's supposed to, then you know that something is wrong with the system itself. We know that system also was not is not affected. It's not today that you have the problem with the system. It started from as I had mentioned, from the mid-80s, 85 toward 2000.
All right. Nura, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Right, just to butt you real quick, and to bring in another perspective, will it also be intelligent to say that, these trends of security, whether, the internal threat or the external threat, they are coordinated and deliberately orchestrated, to sort of, how will I put it now, make the country ungovernable for Nigerians?
Let me give you an answer by citing a report, an international intelligence report.
Okay.
I think from the USA's embassy then, during Jonathan, when they said that Nigeria, they envisaged the disintegration of Nigeria in 2015. Mm-hmm. Even though we are still surviving as a nation. But that report is not just a mere love letter. There are so many things that those people that brought that intelligence has. They have seen so many camps within the bushes and the spaces that are called ungoverned, the so-called ungoverned spaces. They have seen the massive channeling of weapons, sophisticated weapons from the Libyan crisis. They have monitored routes, passages of such sophisticated armories, and they also knew those behind such things, though they didn't communicate to Nigerian government to help Nigerian government take action then during Jonathan. So and that's also cautioned our internal security intelligence networkings, especially the DIAs at that time. Because in this world, in international arena, it's a jungle. You don't expect the foreign countries to just help you like that. You just have to make effort also to accrue, to influence the help. But what have you done as a nation? That's what I'm talking about, the security system, both internal and external security system of this country has last.
Okay.
And reform, a very sincere reform.
Yeah.
Not to be.
I'm glad. I'm glad you mentioned reform, because I was going to, get into that. But then let's just take a pause and open the phone line so that family members can also add their voice to the discourse this morning. That's right. Well, you can join the conversation. I mean, tomorrow we would be 64 years old. If you cut that in half, that will be 32 plus 32. It means tomorrow now we'll be beginning another 32. That would make us old now. Yeah, but whatever the case may be, right? You also want to join your voice in this. You want to tell us, what you think that should be done. As our guest, Mr. Nura Bodinga had said that, look, we need a reform. A reform where? Reform of the security agencies, or a reform of the corruption agencies, because some would say that it is about, or anti-corruption agencies. Some would say that they are linked somewhat, that if you're able to, tackle corruption, that you might be able to bring, security, of lives and property, to a place of efficiency. But yeah, the number would be 0907 353 0044. The other number would be 0908 766 8888. We have a WhatsApp portal number that you can as well send a WhatsApp message strictly to, and let us into your thoughts, and that would be
090-9705-4450.
That's right.
Right. So.
Okay. Right. So, yeah, opening the phone lines and allowing you to also add your voice. Well, let's get back with you, Sir Nura. Well, the discourse has been out there. We've talked about the issues. We've talked about the journey. 32 years plus 32 years. That's 64 years. But let's try to dwell on the way forward. One of the things that you cited would be the need for a reform. But how can we reform, indeed, when as I quote you to saying that it is a ceremonial independence. I would like for you to expatiate on that, and then you tell us what you feel that we can do to reform as we look into yet another 32 years.
Yes, you see, there is a research I conducted on the paper that I'm about to present. One of the paper I'm presenting at the Arewa House in Kaduna next week in a conference organized by APU's area. Colonialism, that is the title of one of the paper I'm presenting.
We didn't get that.
Can you take that again?
Colonialism.
Colonialism. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Colonu.
Oh,
then that name is customized to represent my name as a coiner, Nura.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But hold that thought. Let's see. Quickly take this call.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Ife. Good morning, Yudi.
Good morning, Alamin.
Okay. My name is, this is Alamin from Central.
Right.
Let me wish my dear country, Nigeria, happy independence. Definitely, Nigeria ought to be wrong. But unfortunately, we are still crawling, no doubt about it. My contribution will be brief. Nigeria would not achieve the greatness that many of us want it to achieve until there is reform in our behavior. Until we became patriotic Nigerian and understand that building a nation of our dreams goes beyond just voting a leader in position of power, and then we sit back and continue to push all of the blame and the ills of the society. If there is no character reformation right from the family, because the politicians are products of the family. So for me, the leadership is not the problem, but followership. Until there is character reformation, the people, we change our perspective towards nation building, we will continue to cross to eternity. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Alamin, for that one. Appreciate that one. Back with you, Nura. Alamin, right there, a family member, is saying that look, it's a change of mindset, a change of reform of character. Is that also what your how did you put it now?
He actually stressed the need for reforms.
Yeah, the place of Nuralism. Talk to us about it.
You asked me to expatiate on the statement I made
Yes.
Ceremonial independence.
Yes.
You see, I told you that is an idea I initiated or I generated myself that has to do with looking at the colonialism critically. You know, you cannot talk about independence without talking about colonialism.
Exactly.
Because it is because of the menace of the colonialism that the agitations for independence come into. If there is no colonialism, there is no independence. Independence will not come because there is no need for it. So what we are saying is that Nigeria, as it exists, those various independent territories that were amalgamated into Nigeria, initially before colonialism, they have the sense of security that has to do with independence, internal self-government. Now, colonialism itself, based on that doctrine of mine, is seen as one of the greatest historical security threats. Itself is insecurity. Now, after that, we got independence. But that independence, you remember, even the first prime minister mentioned that the focus of the then government is to ensure economic independence, because without economic independence, then you make rubbish of your political independence.
Right.
And that is the idea of neo-colonialism comes into, and that neo-colonialism took over from the threat of colonialism, and that's why up to today, as long as we do not emancipate ourselves, we the African countries, including Nigeria, then we will continue to have a historic example. You see, within national security, you have what you call economic security too. Now, all these policies that has to do with the IMF design policies and the foreign or Western, what you call it, tele-guide policies, you understand, and the incursion of China and what have you. I believe in partnership. Nigeria cannot live in isolation.
That's right.
You know, but then we have to engage these. For the protection of our national economic security, we have to engage these countries as partners, not as beggars. You understand? Not as inferiors, because we have resources that they need. So we may not be that equal partner, but that we cannot be an inferior partner. So that is the point. Now, when we are missing in economic independence, Definitely, that political independence remain merely ceremonial one. Every intellectual will tell you this. Now, talking about reform, if that is understood.
Yeah, just before you get on there, let's just go quickly pay some bills. We'll be right back, and then you get into the reforms, right? Well, the conversation is still trending here, and this is Eagles Morning Risers, Eagles Outlook, where we talking politics and current affairs. What are we looking at this time? It will be on the topical issue, security in Nigeria, 64 years after independence. Don't go away.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Child Protection Initiative Against Cybercrime CCPRO calls on all teens and tech lovers for the 3rd Nigeria Teen Cyber Festival, NG Teen Cyber Fest 2024. Join thousands of young minds as we dive into the future of technology and cybersecurity with the theme From Ideas to Impact, Fostering Innovation in the Age of AI. Meet top tech experts, explore the latest in online privacy, join our hackathon contest, and win fabulous prizes. Date 3rd of October 2024 at the Olumawu School, Wuse 2, Abuja. To participate in the hackathon or main event, please call Bunmi on 081-3309-8542 or Zubeiru on 070-6662-4417. NG Teen Cyberfest. Secure, innovate, lead. The future is yours. Supported by Eagles 102.3 FM.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Heroes walk among us, unnoticed, uncelebrated, yet their impact shapes our nation. On the 2nd of October 2024 at 4 p.m., Nigeria will gather to honor the unsung heroes, those who have gone beyond the call of duty to uplift our great nation. Join us at the Nigerian Patriotism Awards at the prestigious Nikon Luxury Hotel, Abuja. Be part of this historic event. Together, let's celebrate the individuals who represent the true spirit of Nigeria. The Nigerian Patriotism Awards 2024, October 2nd, 4 p.m., Nikon Luxury Hotel, Abuja. Together, we rise. For more information, visit nigeriapatriotism.org or call 0803 059 6162, 0703 779 9765.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
My people, the thing where they happen for my area,
Do you think I will now find out that you have contract to bring fresh girls?
I brought you from the gutters. Who gave you all the connects? MDG, who? Without me, you would have been nobody. But I
Join Media Coalition and Awareness to Halt Human Trafficking, MICAT, on I Wish I Knew radio drama every Saturday at 10 a.m. Let us join hands and kick human trafficking out of our communities. I Wish I Knew radio drama, brought to you by MICAT in partnership with the National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, and funded by the Embassy of Denmark in Nigeria.
No offense to the commercials. It's just that we want to see other audio.
Eagles 102.3.
Right, thanks for staying with us. This is Eagles Outlook, live on Eagles FM 102.3 Abuja, your radio experience you can count on. And of course, we're still, discussing Nigeria's security 64 years after independence. And we still have, our guest who, of course, joined us live via telephone this morning, Nuruddin Botinga. He is a security consultant and strategist and also a researcher. He's still on the line. Nura, thank you so much for staying with us.
Thank you.
Right, please go ahead with your thoughts.
All right, we were talking about the reform.
Right.
Yes, could you please wrap things up in that regard?
Okay. You see, I have a package for government, for agencies, even the National Assembly that are responsible for doing this or for influencing the core security architecture to do this. Now, you have what we call two major divisions or classifications of security reforms. You have the software security reforms, you have the hardware security reforms. Then generally you have the three major stages. The first one has to do with this the technical reforms required. That is those that has to do with the establishment of core security system that consists of the structure, the substances, and the sources, that is the demand element, that is the expectations of the environment and society. For example, let me start with the last one that I've made mention as a component of security system, which is key in reform. Because what are you going to reform when we say government should reform? Government should go and look at reviewing the system and reform the system. Once that system is reformed, then any other thing is done. Now, in reforming the system, what are the areas to look at? As I had mentioned, three major areas or components of the security system. Now you look at the structures. Though we know that at various times from 60s to date, especially during Babangida and what have you, you have so many attempts to restructure the structure, to restructure the security organization, but only on structure. What about the functionalities? What about the technical issues involved? What about the procedures? Even the intelligence gathering procedures of this country, and need a very holistic and sophisticated panadetins. You understand? Today you have an advanced level of security cycle. The training itself, there are what I call the R force in this regard on these substances. What they call restructuring the problem, identify the problem. Which problem, security problem, actually are you focusing on? Now you also rebuild broken security bond, which I'm talking about the security system. Then you revolutionalize security ideas and the procedures. Recently, just very recently, the former military president of this country, IBB, he made mention something which I have been hammering, and he just complimented what I said. He was calling on the security agencies to look at thinking and planning. That is, use the brain to solve the problem. So definitely you have to revitalize the training curriculum. There are so many things that have been there for years, and that those things has almost expired as far as the security training is concerned. Now you also have the issues of what do you call it, the substances, the procedures, risk assessment, and other things. The security system design it has to be there. You have to involve experts. The colleagues we have, the serving colleagues we have, they are doing their best. But then, if you look at the developed countries, America and other countries, that is not how their security system is. It's a conglomerate of all the ideas within and outside the security sector itself, even the academia. Because today we are talking about kinetics and not kinetics approach. You just need outside the resources, outside security sector resource guys that have ideas that publish. We have so many ideas, strategists. Some of us have been presenting at the international platforms, and we have been receiving in our emails a lot of recommendations, even some invitations to make use of our resources from other countries.
Right. Let me put a pen to your thoughts and just quickly take this call. Hello and good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
Yes, good morning to you, please. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Elder Onaja is my name.
Elder Onaja, welcome aboard. Let's get into it.
Welcome, my guest.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You see, what my guest is talking is right, but that one is a long process. You see, we Spiritual Party have said the government. You see, Nigeria police can never fight insurgency. Insurgency war is a guerrilla war. And the guerrilla war, they need guerrilla warfare to fight them. You see, Iran, Iran army, they don't fight insurgency. The people fighting insurgency, they are special force. In America, the same thing. In Israel, the same thing. It's not the duty of Nigerian army. We have best army in the world, in the ground fighter. That's why they are fighting insurgency. It's not the duty of them. If the government went to stop these things, they will establish a special force. And in a country where you go train you as a special force, they're going to give you all the equipment. That type of equipment, Nigeria, no army in the world they will handle that type of equipment. You see, equipment for a special force is quite different. You see, the problem we have in Nigeria here, Army, they are using this communication mast to track. And then anything 20 kilometers in the back of that communication mast, you can never track anything again. That's why those bandits in the forest, Niger, Sokoto, this and this, you can't track them. That's the problem. So what Nigeria wants to do is the way to solve the problem. Form a special force. And then this special force, if you form them, the country will change them, will give them all the equipment. We have a narrow wire. That narrow wire, very hard before you see. If it has any forest, a chopper, we have small helicopter, they call it chopper. You fly above that forest, put that wire there, and then you connect it with the MI5. You can see anything inside of that forest. And we can handle that type of equipment.
All right,
what Nigeria needs is a special, hello?
Yes.
Let me round up.
All right,
a special force. And then you establish a special force. You appoint people, appoint the retired general, retired head of state from each zone. They are the people to monitor that special force operation. And then it's headed by Colonel. And then that Colonel reports directly to the president of the country. Not chief of army staff, not chief of navy staff.
All right, Elder, for want of time.
The role of engagement. Thank you very much. God bless Nigeria. Thank you.
Right.
Elder Onaja right there, indeed, putting out his thoughts. Elder Onaja is saying that there is a need for special forces. What would be your take on that? In fact, he has been all about the special forces, especially going all out technological, in fighting insurgency as we look into another phase of, our democracy as well as our independence.
Let me tell you very categorical. People can make statements out of context and because they don't have the knowledge, but they are right in their own line.
So I would like you to set it in the right perspective. What then must be the outlook for the future?
Technically, when you do not have an existing functional security system, you cannot talk about measure. You cannot talk about setting, special force or what have you. There have been such efforts previously that, but it didn't help the system. You only have any other addition that you have is when you have the basic test. What we are talking about, any other special force that even come will also be dragged by the polluted system that we have. So you have to just reform the system. Make the system, security system strong. There are certain things I will not be saying on the air because of the nature of the security system. But those that I'm talking to, they understood what I'm talking about. You just have to make a comprehensive, you understand, the roll call of expertise. And sit down, everybody should bring a proposal on review the system and look at what the system requires to function. You have been spending money. That's why people are alleging that the government is just pumping money into. Money can continue to be pumped as long as the system is not there, or functional system is not there, is not well redesigned. You will definitely continue to lose the resources without having the results.
Right.
Okay. Nura, just to bring this in real quick, when you talk about having a system that is functional, and you also talk about reforms and all of that, does it also cover having enough manpower on ground, or you're strictly referring to having sophisticated maybe weapons, arms and ammunition to tackle insecurity decisively?
Let me tell you, when you talk about security system is a comprehensive package. It provides everything. It consists of sophisticated equipment. It consists of technological boosts. It consists of the right structures. It consists of the right individual to be recruited, how to recruit the recruitment system. It even includes sourcing, financing the structures, the security structures, way of sourcing the money or the resources, and also how to manage the resources, disciplinary measures, any other things. It's a system. Security system is a comprehensive package. And that's why some of us specialize on went for a specialty in security system design and management. Because that is just the point, the heartbeat of security activities. When you do not have the structure, you don't have the substance. You have the structure, but you do not have the substance. You have a problem. It's a system. And when you have the structure, you have the substances, you do not have the sources, you do not have the connect with this community, with the society or the environment. Let me tell you one major problem that we have. Security reorientation is required as part of the reform. That targeted two major entities. One, the security and government and security apparatus. What do I mean by reorientation? There are security misperception with the government and their agencies. Most of them sometimes they acted as if they have seen security as completely in their hands, that it is the government sole state-centered security. That is a mistake. So, when you go to America, for example, you go to Ohio, you will see that all these cameras that you see, I'm talking about digitalization system. Now, it is not the state that provide all the cameras. They have what they call corporate security structures that integrated with the state security structures, and the money, the resources are minimal. That is what we call security economics, and there are what we call affiliated security reform. Now, it is not only core security sector that is required to help provide security. You have issues in education. You have issue in economy itself.
Right.
You have issue in social integration. You have issue with social justice.
Okay.
And these sectors, that is security affiliated sectors, are not well reformed. Then they cannot provide complementary inputs or support to the core security sector.
All right.
And that's what we're talking about. In both the experts, they have the practical impetuses, pragmatic impetuses to do the job.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's just quickly take a couple of messages right now.
Right. This one here says, good morning, UD and Omoife. Very good morning to your guest. This is James from Suleja. I want to partly agree with our first caller on the need for reform. Yes, there is need, to reform the mindset of those who find their way into government and become insensitive to the plight of the people they swore to defend and protect, and their supporters who believe everyone else who doesn't support their paymasters are unpatriotic and are reacting emotionally when they complain about leadership failure. Until we begin to draw the line between patriotism and blind loyalty to politicians, the leadership of the country will continue to believe and operate under their bloated illusion of moving the nation forward. Nigeria is suffering from a leadership issue, nothing more, nothing less. Individuals who have found themselves within and around the corridors of power are insincere in their attempt to develop the nation. Have the issues leading up to the civil war been resolved decades after? Most of the development experienced all over the country were possibly because of regional government, or because regional government was in place.
Right.
James from Suleja there.
Yeah, this one says, good morning, Daniel and Ife. I greet your guest. I'm listening from Nasarawa State. It says, as long as some people in the security apparatus continue to make money and live large on insecurity, I don't see any positive results. Insecurity is now business for those in charge. Since 2015 till date, we have billions of naira being pumped into security with no result. On independence, nothing to celebrate. Hunger, insecurity, frustration, corruption, and so on. Turkenby Undu, all the way from Nasarawa State. Turkenby, thank you. Well, this one says,
you need to read the book written by Walter Rodney for you to understand the essence of colonialism. The title of the book is How the British Came to Underdeveloped Africa.
Right.
Political freedom without economic independence is a child's play. Sanusi from Suleja.
And finally, let's get on to with this one. Quite a long read. Yusuf right there from Musaitu. Good morning, UD. On the issue of security reforms, I suggest that governors and other top security officials should stop collection of security votes, because there has to be insecurity to justify the claim for the fund. Also, the government should take seriously the conspiracy theory and deal with foreign involvement, if any. There was a time some people were indicted in United Arab Emirates, UAE, for financing terrorism tourism, but till date, we have not heard anything. The role of traditional rulers and forest guard should be taken seriously. Nigeria Police should deploy their well-trained officers currently doing VIP escort to more serious security duties. Corruption in our country, in our security services, should be tackled. We had cases of armed procurement fraud for which top military officers were prosecuted. There should be audits of already recovered arms to avoid them getting into wrong hands. Police must deploy technology and reinforce the intelligence gathering arm of the police. Have a nice day. Yusuf is saying all the way from Wusaitu in Abuja.
Right, Nuruddin, we must thank you so much for staying with us on the show this morning. Indeed, so much to talk about with a lot to take in, but time is not our friend, so we just have to leave the conversation here. But thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you very much.
Right. And this is the size of the package. Thank you to you two for adding your voice in the discuss. Guess what? Tomorrow is yet another time, and we'll be here, fair and square to bring it, into your eardrums. And just to also say to you, happy Independence in advance.
Right, I am Omoefe Peace Osebere, and as always, we would like to state that the views expressed by the guest and the callers were not influenced by Eagles FM 102.3 Abuja. Until tomorrow, do have yourselves, a fantastic day, and also happy Independence Day celebration in advance.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.